All right, guys, welcome in. I wanted to go over some different ballparks, stadiums, maybe some arenas in here, and kind of compare their renderings to the actual final product. Now, more recently, normally the final renderings are basically the complete, 100% accurate final product. It's like the exact same thing. But back in the 80s, 90s, they would pump out a bunch of different renderings, and the stadiums sometimes would turn out a little bit different. So I'm going to kind of say whether I like the rendering or the actual one better. First, going with this was US Cellular. Now it's Guaranteed Rate. Boy, you want to talk about a horrible name change. US Cellular is actually a good name. And then you go to Guaranteed Rate. I don't know, there's something about the word guaranteed. I hate that word. It just looks bad. It looks like there should be more syllables. I don't know. But yeah, it looks basically 100% accurate when it comes to the rendering versus what actually came out. A lot of White Sox fans, a lot of MLB fans do not like this stadium. They had to remove 5 or 6 sections from the upper deck, and they actually made it way better by removing the sections. Next, we're looking at the Angels ballpark in Anaheim. So this is actually just an addition they did, and you can see this rendering, there's no fountain in the middle. So it's just a massive green patch for a batter's eye. Of course, they add the rock pile fountain. It's one of I would say that's the number one thing when it comes to the Angels stadium. They were actually planning a renovation of it, but due to the team not getting sold, and apparently they're staying with their original owner, the renovation of the Angels Stadium is on hold. They got great attendance last year, mainly due to Ohtani. That's why they won't trade him, even though he's probably going to leave in free agency. But yeah, that rendering, they added outfield seats. It was like a renovation. That stadium used to have football, and they completely took out half of the upper deck that was going around the entire stadium, and they replaced it with just outfield seating and made it more baseball-like. And you can see in the rendering, I mean, they added the fountain outside of it. That is Kauffman Stadium, so I would say it kind of just looks like a shell, but that's basically what it is. That's how the upper deck looks. Very unique upper deck at Kauffman Stadium. And then, of course, you have the ultra-unique moving retractable roof that could have covered Arrowhead or Kauffman Stadium that they decided not to go with, which I think was a good idea. To me, it would have looked really tacky if they would have thrown that thing in there. I mean, it's kind of like Safeco Field in Seattle or T-Mobile Park now, where it would be open air, but it would still have a roof over top. They end up not doing it. Definitely a unique design where you build an MLB stadium and an NFL stadium right next to each other. They get built at the exact same time, and you have a, roof on wheels that could cover either one of them if it's raining. You have to wonder if both of them are playing Sunday afternoon and it's raining, which one of them gets preference. I'm sure the football would get preference, but it's just funny to think about. Ballpark in Arlington. So they actually changed the seating color. I don't know why they had it as red seats. Maybe that's just in the rendering, but it looks kind of like, a Cardinals red for the seating. That was not the final color. And then they also, if you look at center field, they changed, I don't know if it just looks like those were banners or something. They changed that to actually be offices. So a few things there, but the overall design is basically the exact same on that one. This is a variation of Rogers Center. This is not what it actually ended up looking like, but it is they had 3 or 4 different designs. They were all very similar, but you can tell there's no hotel in center field, and this would have been their worst design by far. This thing probably would have had to have been renovated in 2008. You've just got a wall of seating in right field, which never would have been filled, ever, outside of opening day for the MLB. So you got to be very happy they didn't end up going with that one. Next, this is Riverfront, I believe, for the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, look at that center field wall. How are you supposed to hit a home run? It's 20 feet high in center field. That is remarkable. The whole Cincinnati thing is really funny, actually looking at Great American Ballpark being built, you know, from the old stadium. It's like right next to it, and they actually had to remove some of the old stadium to build Great American Ballpark, if I'm remembering that correctly. It was really, really weird. And then this is Great American Ballpark. Yeah, that's basically exactly what it looks like. They have the detached upper deck, which is something that Comerica Park does in Detroit as well. And yeah, it's basically a carbon copy, although there is no boat in center field, which, you know, kind of takes away. Yeah, makes it look a little naked. There being no boat there in center, which obviously we know there is now. And then looking at the Minnesota Twins, this was an early design of Target Field. So the outfield seating is completely different than this design, as we can see there. Just looks very limited, almost looks like a minor league park from that angle there, but a little bit different in terms of the final product for Minnesota. And then this is Coors Field, which is another one where the outfield seating is just completely different. You also don't have that rock pile in center field, which is just a bunch of bleachers that is like really high up in center. Probably one of the furthest distances from home plate of any ballpark, that rock pile that they built. But yeah, the outfield seating is completely wonky. The upper deck is the exact same. They have since renovated it, and actually they've done a good job turning it into a bar. It looks pretty nice now there. This is Minute Maid Park. I would say it looks like a complete carbon copy when it comes to the Astros. This is an enclosed Yankee Stadium, which is something they didn't end up building. Obviously, we know now they ended up going with the this type of model. This is another rendering of kind of what they ended up going with, but the outfield seating, again, is just a little bit different. Next, we're going to look at Marlins Park, and I got to say, I mean, they've completely ruined Marlins Park already. They've already ruined it. It opened in 2009. They took out the aquarium. They took out the fish sculpture in center field. If you actually look at these original stadium plans, it looks like they had some sort of fountain in center field originally planned. They changed it to that fish sculpture, and I'll be honest, it was really ugly, but it did give the ballpark character. And they end up taking that out and completely just nullifying the entire stadium. So, Marlins Park. Also, I really don't think those windows open that much. You see the rendering. It makes it look like that's a massive thing that opens. I don't think that's how it actually turned out. Maybe it is. I don't really remember. But, yeah, so there's Marlins Park. The overall renderings of that. They actually had a different color seats in the original OG renderings back into like 2000 and I don't know what that would be, like mid 2000s, like 2007 or something. When did that thing open in 2012? I think that's when it opened. This is Tropicana Field. I mean, how does somebody genuinely look at this model? Okay, you're going to an event to build the next Tampa Bay Rays stadium, you know, and you see this, and it's like, yes, I'm going to go with that. And it's just so sad. And then they go so far as to show the technology behind the roof and the catwalks, which is one of the most ugly things in baseball. It is. I mean, there were not even. There's no photos of the interior of Tropicana Field there, but I mean, I don't know how much longer the Trop has left. It might have like 2 or 3 years. Honestly, it just depends. I guess it probably is 3 years because they don't even have a new stadium in the works yet. This is Safeco Field. That's such a cool model. They got little lights and stuff. Very nice model of that. But yeah, that's basically exactly how it turned out. So that must have been a later scale model, and it is a very unique stadium. It's open air, so you get the retractable roof, but something like that I feel like they would not build today. You know, if you're going to put a roof over it, they're going to want it climate controlled, so they're going to want it fully enclosed. So I don't think something like that would fly today, even with that just being, you know, a little while ago. Next, you have Levi Stadium. This was one of the newer stadiums that a lot of people are kind of, you know, you have to wonder about this one because it just missed the mark. It really did with where it's located. You know, the overall build of it is kind of weird with one entire side being suites. But yeah, the rendering is pretty much exactly what it turned out being. That is Levi Stadium. And so, yeah, those are just some cool ones there. You can also take a look at the new Rangers ballpark, which I'll be honest, when I saw these renderings of the Rangers ballpark, I was really impressed. But the issue is really the dimensions of this. I'm shocked in this day and age with the MLB. Why would you make a pitcher-friendly park? And also, like, the camera angle looking at home plate is really weird with that one, with that stadium. They got to fix that somehow. It's the same thing that used to happen with Target Field. The batter's eye, where the camera films the batter and the hitter, are really effed up. And it just makes it very hard to watch. They might have tried to fix it, but like originally it was so bad. I know Target Field, it was horrible the way they had their camera set up. And then they changed it and now it's fine. It's been fine for like 5 or 6 years. But that was just something that was weird, and really, I don't know. There's something off about the new Rangers dome or retractable. I mean, I guess it's retractable, but if you're dealing with humidity in Texas, that thing's going to be closed 85% of the time, let's be honest. They find it, anytime there's a retractable roof, they will find an excuse. Look at Marlins Park, or whatever it's called, Lone Depot Park. OnlyFans Park. I mean, what are they naming these things? It's just, seriously, you're going to sell out? You're a billionaire. How do these people that own these teams, it's like, oh, I want an extra $100 million. What does it matter? The name, I mean, have some self-respect. Keep it Marlins Park, but they can't do it. They have to sell out. So that's just some different renderings versus the final product, some different stadiums to look at, guys. But that's going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.